Hello, hello. Welcome to Tech Ascent, the podcast where we dive into the trends, strategies, and success stories that are reshaping the tech landscape as we know it today. I'm your host, Oliver Clingain. I'm also the founder of Ascension, the premier biz development partner within tech. Today, we're joined by Joel Wilson, the founder and CEO of JCW Computer Consulting. Joel, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Would you mind telling the audience a little bit about what you do and what your background is?
Sure. So, JCW Computer Consulting, we are an IT firm. We're on the infrastructure side. So I know today's world, it's very sexy to be a programmer, web developer. And regrettably, we are not. We're on the infrastructure side. So we're on the physical side. So any type of devices, servers, network equipment, and we go into the cloud, and it also includes cybersecurity, which are crucial things for any type of organization, whether you're a profit business, nonprofit, small, medium, large. We all need to protect ourselves in the from cyber threats. So that's where we play on the infrastructure side.
Awesome, awesome. And like you said, it's not sexy, but it's a necessity in today's world. And with cybersecurity, obviously that's become a very hot topic over the past few years, but it should be longer. Over the past, we'll even just say 3 months in 2025, what are some of the big trends that you're seeing in the space?
Well, the biggest trend that I'm seeing, and I was recently at a cybersecurity conference, October 2024. And so they put out a new stat on how many businesses are being impacted. The stat was 84% of US businesses are actually being assaulted by some type of cyber threat. And for many of the businesses, because they just don't have adequate testing and analysis software, sort of looking at their company, they're just not aware that the threats are there. It's like you have a physical, your physical office, and you don't have security cameras and you don't have an alarm system, and you don't realize that every night somebody's trying to break in. And it just so happens one night you forget your briefcase, so you go back to try to grab it, and you're like, "Oh my God, there's all these people at my windows and doors." So that's what people are experiencing. And so what we're trying to do with our clients and the folks that, they're sort of in our network here, and we work out of the Philadelphia area, Philadelphia, PA area, is try to get them, for one, to become aware of this threat, this very real threat, and to take some precautionary steps to mitigate those forces from getting inside and causing you harm.
And that's something we hear when we speak with other cybersecurity companies in the space is there's always that kind of gap around education, so to say, education, awareness. A lot of companies, especially on that small to medium business side, they just think it won't happen to me. How do you
Yeah.
go about kind of bridging that gap?
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, how you want to look at it, there's so much news out there now with breaches, and plus so many folks have been impacted that it's hard to talk to a business owner or a nonprofit leader who doesn't at least know someone who's been impacted. In some cases they've been impacted themselves. It may be personally, someone hacked their Zelle account or something. So there's a lot of personal hurt feelings out there that people can tap into. So for us now, once we can get in front of someone and talk, they're like, thank you. I just didn't know where to look. I know that it's a pain, and it's something I have to deal with, and I've been hiding under my pillow, but I'm just glad that you're here and you can help guide me through it. So it's a little different than some years ago where people, didn't believe you and stuff like that. People, they absolutely know it's true. They just may not know how to get the help.
For sure. And with that, they aren't sure how to get the help. Being in a competitive space in the cybersecurity IT space, operating in a regional area, Philadelphia, PA, how do you go about kind of breaking through the noise and getting the name of JCW Computer Consulting out there?
You're absolutely right. It is a difficult proposition because it is very competitive. But the key thing is really trust. And what I will say for the growth in our cybersecurity practice has really been referral based. So current clients who are receiving services and they found us to be helpful for them, they are mentioning us to other folks. Or if we do happen to run across someone and they may have some brand awareness, okay, we've heard of JCW, but when we can then give them the referral list, like, these are businesses in Philly that we're supporting, or these are schools in Philly or churches in Philly, and then they can co-sign on what we're saying, then that really helps set the bridge that they're like, okay, we do want to talk to you, we want to give you a shot and bring you in. So those your current relationships are just so crucial, and that's been the biggest way for growth, more so than just generic marketing. Not a lot of grab backs from that, but that personal touch has been the lifeblood.
For sure. And being a founder, Joel, that's something we hear a lot of is the relationships and how important they are in business, dating all the way back to founding JCW. How important have relations been throughout the whole journey?
Without the relationships, there would be no JCW. As simple as simple as that. So we have some clients we've had for over 20 years. And those have been some foundational clients, and great. So in some cases, they've mentored myself personally. I keep in mind when I first went in business, I was 22, 23, very idealistic, really did not have a lot of business experience. So I was lucky to be able to get some early clients that were rooting for my success and was willing to work with me through my mistakes. I certainly am not going to sit here and say, oh, I've done everything perfect over 25 plus years. It would just be not telling the truth. But you can persevere through. You can learn. We got a new client referral probably about 2 weeks ago. And so we did some initial research, and what they needed was not exactly in the space that we were in. So it was tangent to it, but not exactly in. So I had to do some research to get up to speed on what they needed. And long story short, they ended up not going with us, and it's totally fine. And I learned from it. But we had sort of like an exit conversation, and so even in that part, I'm learning from them, the route they went and why they went. And one of the things that it occurred to me is that we actually did have a solution that would have worked for the client, but my original approach to solve the problem, the core technology I picked was the wrong tech. So we sold like two different technologies, and if I would have thought about the other one, it would have led to the right path. So I learned. And so now if someone comes and they have that type of business, I do have a better solution for them. It's fine. I'm willing to, I'm not, again, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you, oh, we win every, you know, thing we go after. No, that's not true. But you can learn from every encounter you have. And I have learned, and I think we're better for it. And what makes it even funnier is literally, I think 2 days after, our exit interview per se, I got an email from one of actually our main cybersecurity partner that we deal with, and they just announced a brand new product, which was one of the core pieces that the client wanted. And so, sometimes that happens. I've learned, and I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's funny the way that works sometimes, and I think that's just the life as an entrepreneur. You got to take those hits on the chin, and then hopefully dodge the next one. And in this case, locking the deal. But like you said, you're learning, you're adapting, and over 25 years of that, you've obviously built a very strong foundation with JCW. You guys are launching a new aspect of your business, the e-commerce side of the business. Would you mind walking me through that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. One of the things JCW has done and has done pretty well for all these years is that we have an extensive list of partnerships. So we're a partner with Lenovo, a partner with HP, Dell, Microsoft Surface 8, which is a voice over IP product, Coral cybersecurity product, and the list just goes on and on and on. So we really did not have a e-commerce solution that could allow someone to buy these products, and it would have logistics built into it so that it doesn't become a nightmare on the back end for us trying to manage all the order processing and the stuff getting delivered and all that. So for about the past 7, 8 months I worked on this project and had to put together a team which encompassed our distribution network and accomplished back-end developers, front-end digital marketers, and we were able to pull it off. So I'm real glad we're still walking through, I call it our soft launch. So the site is up and running, jcwcc.com. And we got Chromebooks less than $200 and laptops less than 300, and those are just the starting points. For folks who are looking for the high end, we have the high end Surface tablets or Lenovo. You want an i9 in your laptop and 64 gigs of RAM. We can accommodate servers, all types of network equipment. A great networking product that I like to use, and they're very budget friendly and powerful, is TP-Link. So your switches to your wireless access points, high rate wireless, so gig or faster speeds, being able to segment your security on the network, controlling it from a web-based controller on all your access points in your buildings. TP-Link has a pretty good product to look at. And then on the firewall side, SonicWall firewalls, Fortinet firewalls. So we have some great products, and the vast majority you can source right off our website. And those things you need some help with, helping to identify, you can reach out to us, info@jcwcc.com, and we will get back to you, help give you some directions, a quote that you can look at and help you to purchase from if that's what you need to do.
Awesome, awesome. And Joel, you've obviously been in the tech space for quite some time now. You mentioned 25 plus years of experience. E-commerce is one of the big shifts that's happened over the recent years. There's also been a few others, AI most recently, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
Being in the tech space for so long, what is it like now? What's been the biggest shift? How's the landscape kind of changing, whether that be from a competitive angle, from a just general growth area and technology and overall?
So, there's been I've witnessed some pretty big shifts in the tech industry. I'll say I go back over 40 years because I really got in the tech industry when I was like 12 years old, when I self-taught programmer. um, I worked on the DOS 1.1. I was a 12-year-old kid doing macro programs out of Lotus 1, 2, 3. So I go back a little bit. So some of the major shifts I saw when the GUI operating system took over the text-based operating system. That was a major shift. A lot of people didn't want to change. They didn't think it was going to work. And ultimately, it worked. I remember when there was no internet and computers were, a big thing, bulletin boards, you were using that to communicate, and a lot of textbooks, a lot of textbooks, and people resisted the internet, but the internet, it won out. I saw SaaS computing, software as a service, when it first came in, people resisted. And now everything is sold as SaaS. So much so that you can buy hardware as a service. You can buy anything as a service nowadays. So that's been a huge shift. And I think AI sort of represents the next big titanic shift in the industry. And you've already had early adopters that got in, and people are creating new business models from AI. And the traditional players are still going to do well. AI is very data and it's very dependent on super fast CPUs. So those folks who are already well vested in the industry are going to do super well. We've seen NVIDIA has been able to make their niche in a CPU market, but others are going to do well as well. And AI, it extends the need of cybersecurity because all this super fast technology has rendered a lot of the older cyber protections vulnerable because of the faster CPUs. They now can breach the 256 encryption levels at a faster clip. So if you get a fast enough CPU, you can get past it. So now you got to come back with a newer level of protection. For AI is definitely pushing a shift, but it's creating new jobs and new opportunities because we have to manage it. And I think one of the sort of niche businesses is going to come up is that businesses are going to adopt AI without having sound principles and security behind it. They're going to open themselves up for breaches, and they're going to be folks that are going to come and fix those breaches, and that's going to be a niche business. People are going to create the chaos for themselves unknowingly, but someone's going to have to fix it. So, that's something that we are looking at and trying to be positioned to do it. And hopefully for our clients, guide them to not do that. You got to lock your system down so that folks, you have an employee who has access to a sensitive database, and then they're just jumping out on free chat GPT. Now they're exposing your database. Now, you got all kinds of problems. So we're trying to stop them from doing that. More internal firewalls, more internal data control and things like that.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And Joel, you mentioned you've had client relationships for over 20 years, some of them. You're essentially their go-to tech guy. Are people at the local level starting to ask you questions about AI and how they can use it in their business?
Yeah, AI is just such a hot topic that it's hard to have a conversation today and someone not bring it up. And it's funny, I was asked to speak on a panel in January for a business networking breakfast. And so I was asked to speak on AI, and I replied to them. I said, my company does do some AI things, but I'm not going to put myself out there as an expert in AI. We're not at that level yet. Where we are an expert, where we can add value, is in the cybersecurity space. So they said, great, come on. So I did speak on that, but it's very hard pressed to not, for folks not to ask. And the only thing I say to the IT experts that are out there, it's totally fine to not know everything. Sometimes IT folks just want to speak on everything, and they really don't have that the training behind it or the experience behind it to really be effective consultation for someone. So, don't try to fake it. If you don't have it, be honest, let folks know. And if it's something you want to do, you know what you got to do. You got to go to school. You got to learn. And nowadays it's a lot easier to learn things. Most times you don't even have to leave your office. You can go through a training program or whatever. But get become proficient in it if you want to give advice in it. So with AI, we use AI. We have some things that are built into some of the services that we're offering, but we're not putting ourselves out there as an AI firm to provide consultation on that. At least not yet. We talk in a year, and then I'll let you know.
Makes sense, makes sense. I think that's the biggest thing you said there, especially in the AI space. There's a lot of people that are over promising and under delivering on their AI services, their AI knowledge. So it's good that you guys are not going all in. You're taking the time. You're truly kind of learning the market before you start offering it to your clients. With that, Joel, we've talked a lot about everything from your journey to your thoughts on the current cybersecurity space, the AI space, what you guys are doing with JCW. Looking forward now, what's the kind of goal for the rest of 2025 or even the next 2 or 3 years? What's the vision? What's the mission? What's on the horizon?
Well, 2025, really looking forward to it being a great year, an additional year for growth. We experienced about a 25% growth in 2024. So I'm looking to continue that in this year. One of the things, and this is probably a little non-traditional, but it works for us, and I take a lot of pride in it. Is that we've helped found a tech STEM nonprofit, and through that, we're training young folks between kindergarten and 12th grade. Once we get them in high school, we have paid internships for them, so they're learning, tech in high school. So right now we have a cohort learning coding. They're learning some AI. They're learning music, well, video production, which is a tie-in. If you talk about STEAM, STEAM is the art component of that. So, and then when they're in college, they're serving as instructors, and we're giving them their first jobs as like help desk and associate techs and things like that. So, and this gives us more breadth because at those upper grades and college level, they're starting to be trained in the products that we sell and support. So that gives us new entry level techs, and which helps us to scale into things faster. And it gives them employment, it gives them pride, character building, makes their resume look incredible. One of the interesting things is once a college student works for us for 6 months, sometimes less than that, for 6 months, the recruiters are in their inbox every day. Every day. We've taken students in a community college in Philadelphia. We have community college in Philadelphia. Once that community college student, they're majoring in, computer science or computer networking, something like that. They work for us for a few months. They're now being given job offers that are great wages. They can take care of family. So we're helping to accelerate that. So I'm proud of it.
As you should be. It's sometimes it's bigger than building your own business. It's about impacting the lives of others, and it sounds like you're doing just that. That's fantastic, though, Joel. I really appreciate you coming on, and I know we've dropped your JCW's link a few times during the conversation. I'll make sure it's all linked down below so people can go check you out. But anything else you want to say to the people before we hop off?
2025 should be a great year for all of us. I know there's a lot of anxiety, but you know, in chaos, there's always opportunity. So I just want to, for all of us to focus on the opportunity, focus on new relationships that you can build, and let's move forward and do it for ourselves, do it for our families, our community, and let's build happier lives. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for coming on, Joel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.